Hey guys, Rick Stone here from Our Stony Acres. Welcome to our YouTube channel. While you're here, please make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so that you get noticed when we release new videos. Okay, when I started in January of this year, I told you guys that I would be doing monthly planting guides, zone by zone, for each month. We're in October now, and monthly planting guides really kind of start to fall apart this time of year because it really is going to depend on where you live. North and south, okay? So my confidence in these guides is less because there's just so much variability this time of year on what your weather's going to be like, how much daylight you have. So take all of that into account, okay, when we go through these. So first off, zones 3 and 4, nothing really that you could be planting in October other than if your ground hasn't frozen yet, you could still plant garlic and shallots. You could get those in this time of year and it would still be great. And garlic and shallots, guys, like to be planted in the fall, and you'll have a much better crop if you plant them in the fall versus the spring, especially garlic. So get your garlic in, zones 3 and 4. And zones 5 and 6, it's also time for you guys to get your garlic and shallots in, and even zone 7. All of you need to be thinking about that. So I try to get my garlic planted about 2 weeks after my first frost, which usually lands me sometime in the middle of October. But you've got some leadway on that. As long as the ground hasn't frozen, you can plant garlic. So don't panic if you haven't gotten your garlic in yet. As long as your ground hasn't frozen, you're good. Just get it in and it'll be fine, and it'll be much better off to plant it now than it would be to plant it in the spring. And we're actually going to be doing a video here in another week or so on planting garlic, so look forward to that, okay? All right, other things that you could be planting in zones 5 and 6 right now, and everything that I'm going to list here is just going to get started, okay? So it's going to come up and just get going, and you're going to want to cover it with something, whether it's leaves or fabric row cover or a hoop house or something like that, because you're not going to get a harvest this year from any of this, okay? Anything that you plant in October is going to overwinter and be an early spring harvest for you. It's not going to be something that you're going to be able to harvest anytime this year, okay? So here we go. Things that you could still plant. Mosh and Claytonia, both of those will actually still do pretty good, and you'll get a really early harvest from those. Kale, you could plant some kale now. Again, it's going to get really small. Maybe it'll get a few true leaves on it, and then it's just going to kind of hold off until spring, and then you'll get it, you know, starting back in February and March, it'll really take off, okay? Other things that you could try to overwinter would be spinach, lettuce, arugula, radicchio, dandelions, endive, beets and turnips, and radishes. All of those, again, no expectation of getting a harvest this year in zones 5, 6, or 7. You're planting basically for an early planting next spring. And so it's fun to do, and it gets you an early harvest. You'll probably have a little bit spotty germination and things like that, but it's a fun thing to do. And I usually plant at least one bed with kind of a mix of those greens to overwinter. They'll just come up a little bit, and then I cover them up, and then it takes off, and it's a nice extra early spring harvest for you, okay? So that's zones 5, 6, and really zone 7, okay, as well. Now, when we move into zone 8, you have a little bit more flexibility. Most zone 8s are in the south. There are a few zone 8s that are kind of like in Northern California and sneak up into Oregon and Washington coastal areas. But mostly you're going to be looking south. And so you will have a little bit more sun and a little bit more opportunity to actually get some stuff growing that might harvest. So in zone 8, you're going to be planting some garlic and shallots, again, a little bit later in the month, but definitely you can get those planted. Spinach, mosh and Claytonia, kale, Swiss chard, lettuce, arugula, and beets, okay? And again, we're moving into winter, and so your expectations should be low. But in zone 8, you will probably get some lettuce to harvest. You'll probably get some spinach leaves and some kale leaves and things like that you can harvest during the winter planting this late. It would have been better if you'd planted a month ago, but you still will have an opportunity to get some harvest out of those, especially if you're willing to maybe put up a hoop house or something like that to give them a little extra protection when the weather really gets cold, you know, in December and January. Okay? All right, then here's where the zone thing really kind of falls apart, and that's in zones 9 especially and zone 10. So those of you that live in zone 10, those, that's deep Southern California, a little bit of Arizona, I think, a little tiny tip of Texas, and a lot of Florida. Those are zone 10s, okay? You guys aren't going to have a lot of problems because you don't have frost and you have lots of sunshine, okay? But when we're talking about zone 9, there's this kind of funny stripe of zone 9s that go all the way up into Northern California, and then even along the coastal areas in Oregon, and even all the way up into Washington. There's some zone 9s, okay? The problem with those of you that live in those northern zone 9s, these plants could survive the winter, but they're not going to have a lot of sunshine because you live so far north, okay? Those of you that live in like Southern California zone 9s or Arizona zone 9s or Florida zone 9s, you guys are going to have some good success because you still have plenty of sunshine during the winter time, and you're going to be able to plant quite a bit. So here's what you can plant in zones 9 and 10 in October and still, in this case, plan on getting a harvest this winter, okay? So by transplant, cabbage, broccoli, peas, kohlrabi, and cauliflower. Those are going to take a while to grow. You're probably not going to be harvesting those until February or early March, but they will do pretty well this time of year, okay? By seed, you can be planting lettuce, spinach, beets, carrots, kale, turnips, arugula, Swiss chard, mosh, claytonia, and radishes, okay? And then on top of everything else, garlics and shallots can also be planted in October in those areas. I would wait till the very end of October in zones 9 and 10 before you planted those. You could even let garlic probably slide into November and not have a problem with that, okay? All right, so remember, if you live in zone 9 and you're in a northern zone 9, not going to be quite as dependable with this list because you're just not going to have as much sunshine to make things grow. But those of you that live in those southern climates, you should still have a pretty good shot at getting things to grow. Okay, all right, so that is our October planting guide, and we will do a November and a December planting guide as well, and it's going to be mostly for those of you in zones 9 and 10, but we will go ahead and talk about those. So look forward to that coming up next month. Okay, that, my friends, is all I have for you for this week. Everybody have a great week. Happy gardening, guys. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you for watching this YouTube video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and got a lot of good information out of it. How was your garden this year? Did you struggle a little bit? Did you have some problems? Were you new to gardening? Are you just now thinking about starting a garden? Well, I want to help you, and the best way that I can help you to become a better gardener is to have you join the Gardening Academy. So the Gardening Academy is our monthly membership service where we provide weekly content to help you become a better gardener. And now is a great time to join because we've been going for over a year, which means the site is loaded with tons of great gardening content. On top of all of the content that's there, we also have a monthly Q&A session where you guys can ask me questions, and it's just a great place to be and a great place to learn about gardening. There's a link down in the description below. You can click on that. It'll teach you more about it, and I would really love to have you be a part of the Gardening Academy. So please join. Click the link below. Thanks, guys. Happy gardening.